A man does not become obsessed with a woman because of anything special about her. He becomes obsessed because of how she makes him feel about himself. And almost no woman on earth knows this. Think about that for a second, because it flips everything you have ever been told about attraction on its head. You have been told to work on yourself, be more fun, be more interesting, look better, text smarter, show him your best side. And all of that is coming from the same wrong idea. The idea that if you just become impressive enough, he will not be able to stop thinking about you. But that is not how obsession works in a man. Not even close. The woman he forgets, she showed him everything great about herself and waited for him to be amazed. The woman he is obsessed with, she made him feel something great about himself that he had never quite felt before. And the difference between those two women is not looks, it is not personality, it is not how good she is at texting back. It is 5 very specific things she does most of the time without even realizing it that hit something deep in his brain and make him feel a pull toward her that he honestly cannot explain. These are not tricks. They are not games. They are not about pretending to be someone you are not. Every single one of them is something real that you can do starting today in a way that feels completely natural. And when you start doing them, something shifts. He stops just being interested. He starts thinking about you when you are not there. He starts wanting to know what you think. He starts feeling like something is missing when you are not around. That is what obsession actually feels like from his side. And in this video, I am going to walk you through all 5 triggers that create it. Stay with me, because once you understand this, you will never approach a man the same way again. Let's get into it. When it comes to what makes a man truly obsessed with a woman, most people talk about attraction, but very few understand the specific kind of moment that takes a man from just being attracted to a woman to actually not being able to get her out of his head. And it almost always comes down to this. She made him feel genuinely seen, not complimented, not impressed, seen. Here is the difference, and it matters a lot. When a woman compliments a man, he feels good for a moment. He smiles, he says thank you, and then it fades. Because compliments are easy to give. He knows that. But when a woman looks at him and actually notices something real, something underneath the surface, something he has never quite said out loud, but she somehow picked up on anyway, that hits him completely differently. That does not fade. That sticks. Think about what that actually looks like in real life. He is talking about something he cares about, maybe his work, maybe something he has been trying to build, and most women nod politely and wait for a gap to talk about something else. But this woman does something different. She gets quiet. She looks at him and she says, wait, why does that matter so much to you? Not to be clever, not to seem deep, because she actually wants to know that question. That one small question does something to him he was not ready for. Because here is the thing most women do not realize. Men go through most of their lives never being asked that. They are expected to just get on with things, stay strong, keep it together. Nobody really asks them what is going on underneath. So when a woman comes along who genuinely wants to know what is going on underneath, he does not just like her, he starts to trust her. And trust is the soil that obsession grows in. You cannot have one without the other. This is what I call making him feel seen. And it is so much simpler than women think. You do not need to be a therapist. You do not need to ask deep, heavy questions all night. You just need to pay attention to the moments when he lights up a little and then go there. Ask about that thing, not the surface of it, the inside of it. What does it mean to him? What got him started on it? Why does he care? Let him talk. And while he talks, just be there, not thinking about what you are going to say next. Just actually there, listening, letting him feel that you are genuinely interested in the person he is, not just the version of himself he puts on for everyone else. When a man feels that, something quietly shifts in him. He stops seeing you as just a woman he is talking to. He starts seeing you as someone who actually gets him. And that feeling is rare enough that he will come back to it again and again. He will want to be around you more. He will want to tell you more things. He will replay the conversation in his head later, not because you were brilliant, but because you made him feel something he does not get to feel very often. That is the first trigger, and it is more powerful than anything you could say to impress him. Now, here is something that is going to sound strange at first, but stay with me. One of the biggest things that makes a man obsessed with a woman is when she is clearly not obsessed with him. I know, that sounds like a game. It sounds like playing hard to get or pretending not to care, but that is not what I mean at all. I am not talking about acting distant or giving him the cold shoulder or making him chase you on purpose. I am talking about something real, something that comes from genuinely having a full life that you are not willing to put on hold for any man. And the energy that comes off a woman who actually lives that way is one of the most magnetic things a man can feel. Here is why. Most men have a quiet fear that runs in the background of every new thing with a woman. The fear that the moment he shows real interest, she is going to make him the whole world, that he is going to become her project, that the easy, light, fun thing they have is going to become heavy and serious and full of pressure before he even knows what happened. It is not that men do not want something real. They do. They want it badly. But that fear of the pressure coming too soon makes them pull back from women who seem to need them too much too fast. But a woman who does not need him to fill her life, that fear disappears because she is already full. She already has things she loves, people she cares about, things she is working on, ways she spends her time that have nothing to do with him. And when she chooses to spend time with him in the middle of all of that, it does not feel like need. It feels like a choice. And that is one of the most attractive feelings a man can experience from a woman, that she is choosing him, not because she has nothing else, but because she actually wants to be there. This does not mean playing games with your phone or pretending to be busy when you are not. It means actually being busy, actually having a life, actually caring about your own goals and your own happiness and your own world in a way that is real. When you do that, you do not have to fake anything. The energy takes care of itself. He senses it. He feels it. And instead of feeling the pressure of being needed, he feels the excitement of being wanted. And that is a completely different thing. That is what keeps him awake at night, wondering what you are doing right now. There is something else, something that most women completely overlook because it seems too small to matter. But the women who make men obsessed do this so naturally that they do not even notice they are doing it. And it is this: they leave a little bit of space. They do not give everything away at once, not because they are hiding anything, but because they are comfortable enough with themselves that they do not need to fill every quiet moment with more information. And that space, that little bit of room they leave, is where a man's mind starts to wander. And when his mind wanders toward you, that is when obsession starts to grow. Think about it this way. When something is completely familiar, completely known, completely figured out, you stop thinking about it. You stop being curious about it. There is nothing left to wonder. But when there is just a little bit of mystery, just a little bit of something you have not quite figured out yet, you keep coming back to it. You keep turning it over in your head. You keep wanting a little more of it just to see what else is there. That is what this does to a man. Not mystery in a cold, distant way. Not mystery like she is hiding who she is or playing games with her feelings. Mystery in the softest, lightest sense. She shares beautifully, but she does not overshare. She is warm and open, but she does not hand him everything all at once. She has a lot going on inside her that he has only just started to discover. And she is not in a rush to show him all of it in one night. The way this shows up in real life is actually very simple. It is being comfortable with a pause in the conversation instead of rushing to fill it. It is answering his question and then letting the answer land instead of immediately explaining it more. It is being fully present and warm and engaged, but trusting that you do not have to prove yourself every moment. That quiet confidence, that ability to just be there without needing to be more, creates a kind of pull that a man can feel and cannot quite name. He just knows he wants to know more. And wanting to know more is exactly what obsession is made of. Now, this next one surprises people every time because it sounds like it should not matter. but it is one of the most powerful things a woman can do, and it almost always gets ignored. It is this. She looks at him, actually looks at him, not a glance, not a polite look that slides away after 2 seconds, real eye contact. The kind where she holds it just a moment longer than he expected, and something passes between them that does not need any words. Most people are so uncomfortable with real eye contact that they avoid it constantly, looking down, looking sideways, looking anywhere but directly at the person they are talking to. So when a woman actually holds his gaze fully, calmly, without looking away or getting nervous, it does something to him that he was not prepared for. It stops him. Just for a second, everything slows down slightly, and he feels in that moment like he is actually being seen by her. Not evaluated, not judged, just seen. And met like she is right there with him, fully present, not somewhere else in her head, and she is not afraid to let him know it. That feeling, that moment of actually being met by someone is so rare that when it happens, people remember it. He will remember it. He will think about it later and not completely understand why that moment stuck with him the way it did. And every time he is around you after that, he will feel something that reminds him of how he felt in that moment. That calm, warm, fully present energy you gave him just by looking at him like you meant it. And here is what makes it even more powerful. It does not feel like you are doing anything to him. It just feels like you. Like that is just the way you are. And that is exactly what makes it so attractive. Because it is not a technique, it is presence. Real, genuine, full presence. The kind most people never give anyone. When you give it to him, he feels it in a way that he will be chasing for a long time. Here is the last one. And in some ways, it is the deepest one. It is the one that takes everything else and makes it stick in a way that does not go away. She makes him feel like he can be real with her. Not just comfortable, real. Like he does not have to be the strongest version of himself every single second. Like he does not have to have the perfect answer or the right opinion or the impressive story. Like he can say something honest, even if it is a little uncertain or a little vulnerable. And she is not going to pull back or think less of him for it. She is just going to be there, still warm, still interested, still looking at him the same way she always does. This is rarer than you think. Most men have very few people in their lives they can actually be real with. They are expected to project strength and confidence and having it all together pretty much all the time. And most of the time they do. But there is a part of every man that is tired of performing, that just wants to be somewhere he can take the mask off, even for a little while, and not have to worry about what that means. When a woman creates that kind of space, she becomes something completely different from every other woman he has been around. She does not just attract him, she gives him something he actually needs. And the thing about something you need is that you do not walk away from it. You hold on to it. You think about it. You protect it. You come back to it. This does not mean you become his therapist. It does not mean you carry his emotional weight or let him bring all his problems to you without anything in return. It just means that the energy you carry is warm and open and not quick to judge. That when he says something real, you meet it with something real. That you are not performing for him either. And when two people both let their guard down a little with each other, something is created between them that is very hard to find anywhere else. That is connection. An obsession always lives inside real connection. So when you are with him, you do not need to be perfect. You do not need to say the most impressive things. You do not need to have all the answers or look a certain way or hit some standard you made up in your head for what he wants you to be. You just need to be honest, easy, warm, real. Let there be moments where the conversation gets a little quieter and a little more honest. Let him see the version of you that is not performing. Because when you do that, you give him permission to do the same. And in that space, something shifts between you that goes way beyond just attraction. That is when he starts to feel like you are different. That is when you stop being just a woman he is dating and start becoming someone he cannot imagine not having in his life. That is when the obsession that people talk about actually takes root. Not because you did something clever, not because you followed a set of rules, But because you gave him something so simple and so rare that most people go their whole lives without finding it, you made him feel like he could be himself. And for a man who has spent years keeping everything together and putting on the face that the world expects, that is everything. Here is what I want you to take away from all of this. The 5 things we just talked about: making him feel seen, having your own full life that does not revolve around him, leaving just enough space to keep him curious, looking at him with real presence, and being a place where he can actually be real. None of them are about being more impressive. None of them are about doing more or trying harder or being something you are not. Every single one of them is about being more of yourself. The relaxed, full, present version of yourself who is not sitting by the phone waiting for him to show up and make life feel whole. That version of you does not chase him. She does not need to, because the 5 things she does naturally just by being that way create a pull in him that he cannot shake. He thinks about her when he is driving. He replays conversations they had. He wants to show her things and tell her things and know what she thinks. He wants to be around her, not because she dazzled him with how perfect she is, but because something about being with her makes him feel more like himself. And that is the real secret underneath all 5 triggers. The women men become obsessed with are not the ones who showed up perfectly every time. They are the ones who showed up honestly, who were warm and curious and present and full of their own life and completely genuinely themselves. That combination is so rare that when a man finds it, he does not let go of it easily. You do not need to chase his attention. You do not need to earn his obsession. You just need to be fully, honestly, comfortably you, and let these 5 things do the rest. Trust that, because when you do, the right man will feel it, and he will not be able to stop thinking about you. Not because you made him, but because you gave him something real. And real is always, always unforgettable. Let's go back for a second to that first trigger, because I want to make sure you really understand what making him feel seen actually looks like in practice. Because I think a lot of women here make him feel seen, and they think it means asking him a bunch of questions, or being super interested in everything he says, or nodding along enthusiastically every time he talks. But that is not it. In fact, that can actually feel a little uncomfortable to a man if it does not feel natural. Like you are performing attentiveness rather than actually being attentive. What it actually looks like is a lot quieter than that. It looks like him saying something in passing, something he probably said without thinking too much about it, and you catching it, you holding on to it, and a few minutes later coming back to it and saying, "Hey, what did you mean by that?" Or it looks like him talking about something and you noticing that his energy changed a little when he got to a certain part and just gently going there. Not in a therapy way, just in a human way, the way a friend would, the way someone who actually cares would. And the reason this works so well is because it catches him off guard in the best possible way. He said that thing casually. He did not expect anyone to notice. He definitely did not expect you to ask about it. And when you do, when you show him that you are actually listening, not just waiting for your turn to talk, something opens up in him a little. He feels a tiny bit less alone. And that tiny bit less alone is one of the most powerful feelings one person can give another person. Do not underestimate how much that matters to him, even if he would never say so. And here is something else about making him feel seen that most people miss. It is not just about asking about the big things. It is about noticing the small things. The way his face changes when you bring up a certain topic. The way he gets a little quieter when something is actually bothering him, even though he says he is fine. The way he lights up when you ask about something he really cares about. Paying attention to those small things and letting him know you noticed does more for how he feels about you than almost anything else you could do. Now, I also want to go a little deeper on the second trigger, because I think there is a version of having your own life that women sometimes try to do that actually backfires. And I want you to understand the difference. The version that backfires looks like this. She is busy on purpose. She waits a certain amount of time to reply to his messages, even when she is not actually doing anything. She makes herself seem unavailable, even when she is completely free. She talks about all the other men in her life to make him think she has options. And it is not that this never works in the very short term. Sometimes it does. But it creates something hollow. because he can feel when something is performed. He might not be able to say exactly what it is, but something feels off. Something feels like a strategy rather than a person. And strategies do not hold up. Real life always shows through eventually. The version that actually works is completely different. She is not busy on purpose. She is busy because she actually has a life. She has things she loves to do, friends she genuinely cares about, goals she is actually working toward, things that fill her up that have nothing to do with any man. And when she is with him, she is fully there. But when she is not with him, she is not sitting around waiting, she is living. And that energy is impossible to fake because it is real. He feels it, not as a strategy, as a person, as someone who is genuinely full. And a full person is one of the most attractive things in the world because most people are not full. Most people are waiting for someone else to fill them up. And when he finds someone who is already full, who chooses him on top of everything else, that is when something real starts to grow. There is also something I want to say about the fifth trigger, about being a place where he can, that I think is easy to misunderstand. Some women hear this and think it means they need to dig into his feelings or push him to open up or ask him emotional questions until he starts sharing. And that is completely the wrong approach. You cannot push a man to open up. That is not how it works. The moment he feels any pressure to be vulnerable, he closes down. Every single time. What actually works is something much softer. It is just creating an atmosphere where there is no pressure, where there is no judgment, where he can say something a little honest and not have it turned into a big thing, where he can admit that he is worried about something without you immediately trying to fix it or making it feel heavy, where he can be a little uncertain and not feel like that changes how you see him. You create that atmosphere not by asking him to open up, but by being open yourself, by sharing something real about yourself, something a little honest and a little unguarded, and letting him see that nothing bad happens when you do, that it is safe here, that this is a place where real things can be said. And when he feels that, he will start to share slowly, in his own time, in his own way. Not because you pushed him there, but because you made it feel safe. And the things he shares in those moments, the things he says when his guard is down a little, those are the things he will always associate with how he feels when he is with you. Safe, real, himself. And you cannot build obsession without that. You can build attraction without it. You can even build something that looks like a relationship without it. But you cannot build the kind of deep pull, the kind of I need to be around her, the kind of I cannot stop thinking about her feeling without that real connection underneath it all. So here is the thing. When you put all five of these together, when you are actually curious about who he is, when you have a full life that does not depend on him, when you are comfortable enough with yourself to leave a little space, when you are fully present with him in a way that he can feel, and when you are the kind of warm and honest person that makes him feel safe enough to be real, you become something very specific to him. You become the one. Not because you are perfect, not because you ticked every box on some imaginary list, but because of how you make him feel about himself, about his life, about the person he is when he is with you. And that is a feeling no man walks away from easily. That is the feeling that becomes obsession. The quiet, real, unstoppable kind that builds over time and does not fade. That is what you are actually going for. Not just his attention, his heart. And these 5 triggers are the way there. They are not a shortcut. They are not a trick. They are just the truth about what men need and almost never get. And when you give that to the right man, you will not have to wonder if he is obsessed with you. You will already know. And one more thing before you go. I want to leave you with this because I think it is the most important thing I could say after everything we just covered. A lot of women read things like this and they absorb the ideas and they think, okay, I understand this. And then they walk into their next conversation with a man and they are in their head trying to remember what to do, trying to make sure they are creating space and making him feel seen and being present and all of it at once. And I completely understand why that happens, but that is not how any of this works. None of these 5 things can be done from your head. They all have to come from somewhere much simpler than that. They have to come from you actually being okay with yourself, relaxed in yourself, not needing this particular man to go perfectly in order for your life to be fine. When you are in that place, genuinely, not pretended, all 5 of these things start to happen on their own. You are naturally curious because you are not in your head worrying about what he thinks of you. You naturally have your own life because you are not waiting for him to complete it. You naturally leave space because you are comfortable with silence. You naturally look at him with presence because you are actually there. And you naturally make him feel safe because you are not scared yourself. That is the real work. Not learning 5 techniques, but becoming the kind of woman who is so comfortable in her own life and her own skin that all 5 of these things just flow out of her naturally. That woman does not chase anyone. She does not have to. And that woman does not wonder if she is good enough. She already knows she is. And nothing at all is more attractive than that.